beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive with myself, Erin Chandler. So we're finally seeing the Dark Energy series, and I know I've gotten a lot of messages from a lot of you waiting for these messages and the different teaching modalities and the information regarding dark energy. I wanted to make sure that I compiled as much information regarding the light and the dark, because my focus is really never on the dark, and yet it is part of the playing field, is what I'm hearing, to be utilized. It is not the light versus the dark. Perhaps it is the light in the dark here on the 3D earth plane. So I want to talk about the things we're going to cover in this series. I also want to talk about key indicators. How do you know that you're being negatively influenced, impacted, or manipulated and coerced by a dark energy or a dark entity? Because your awareness and the information and knowledge of what that looks like, how does it feel, what are the markers or the key indicators that allows you to easily remove it. Knowledge and information is power, not because the words or the knowledge is power, but because it gives you the power to make sound decisions, to move energy, and to know when something shows up that isn't for you or isn't of your own soul's core essence. So that's the purpose of this series. We're going to dive into a lot of stuff, my friends, that your jaw may hit the floor. Some of it is very shocking. Some of it is almost unbelievable. When I talk about these things, I'm coming from it from a place of both the experiential of it in tandem with other people, as well as real-time tangible proof backing it up. So each of these episodes, we're going to cover a lot of things that may make you question what you know, or what you think you know, or how energy works, or the things that are possible. For other subsets of you, you're going to validation, bullseye. This is exactly what I needed to hear, because you're experiencing some of these things and you're feeling weighed down, bound, and tied down by it. So for some of you, that's going to be the case. Now, when I talk about dark energy, and I talk about energy in general, not everybody is going to experience these things here on the earth plane. There are souls who will never experience any of these things, who will have no idea what I am talking about, who will think that is absolutely crazy, and that's okay. Because this series perhaps is not for those people. It's just an awareness for you to be aware that not everybody's energy will sense these things. Not everybody is highly sensitive and empathic and intuitive at this time. Yet is what I am hearing from one of my guides. Yet. So just because we experience these things as highly sensitive intuitives does not mean that other people will experience them, and that's okay. This series is for those who are experiencing heavy, dark things, who are unsure of where they are in their path. Because as we expand in the intuitive realms, what most people don't talk about is your expansion also includes all that exists in the collective consciousness. To pretend that dark does not exist, it's not that it does a discredit to the experience here on the earth plane, although this and that are true. It is negating from the actual balance of the yin and yang and the natural universal laws that exist on this earth plane, in this playing field, my friends. So let's begin with what we are going to cover in this dark energy series. And if you have not done so already, and this piques your interest, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell and share these videos with somebody who you feel like is dealing with a lot of dark, heavy stuff, because this just might hold the key. I'm seeing a giant key that can help them move through that and empower themselves. So here are the things that are key indicators to let you know if you have been negatively influenced, impacted, manipulated, or dealing with this type of an energy, whether it's through a person, because remember, the people are not the enemy. It is the energy that needs to be transmuted. So let's talk about energy first. And let me tell you, let's talk about energy first. Energy does not die. You cannot slamp it down, and it's dead and it's gone forever. Energy transmutes, it changes, it is fluid, it is moving at all times. This is why our innate power lies in the essence of cancel, clear, cancel, and transmute the energy. I'm here to transmute it. Clear, canceling, and transmuting, if that makes sense. That does not mean the energy does not exist. At this, I'm being shown dark energy and a light energy. So if we have a dark energy, you can cut it down, you can remove it, you can cast it out. I do not consent. But here's the thing, my friends, transmuting the energy changes it permanently. And this is important for those of you who are dealing with spiritual warfare. There is the do not consent to move it around you. However, for those of you who feel like you have experienced it relentlessly, I wish to tell you that transmuting it is your superpower. You just don't know it's your superpower. You are implanted with self-doubt, because if you knew you were that powerful, well, we would have transmuted all this by now, wouldn't we have? Key indicators you're potentially being negatively influenced and impacted by these dark energies. Number one, you may have confusion. You may suddenly feel confused about your purpose, about what you're doing. You can't think a straight thought. You feel like everything is floating out of you. These are typically very sudden. You suddenly have confusion. You might feel a heaviness or a pressure. It'll come out of nowhere. You'll feel like you won't be able to think. You won't be able to move forward with your mission. Perhaps yesterday you were super clear on your purpose, but today you feel like, whoa, I'm very confused and I have a lot of doubt and I have a lot of all of these other things. That's one of the key indicators. Another key indicator is you are unable to meditate. You will feel disconnected from spirit. You will stop, let's say you pull cards all the time. You will stop pulling cards. You will stop meditating. You will stop praying. You will feel the need to isolate yourself. It will feel very dark and heavy. That's a key indicator you are being negatively impacted and influenced by a dark energy. You may have a significant change in sleep. This is another aspect. Some people experience this and some people don't. Perhaps you're somebody who gets up very early in the morning and you're very strategic in your day, but suddenly you cannot sleep and you're up all night, or you feel like there's an energy that's moved through you that you can't sleep, and it negatively impacts you. Another key indicator is if you are having a change in your food. And this isn't a change for the positive where you're like, I'm suddenly eating all kinds of vegetables and I'm drinking smoothies and I'm taking supplements. That's not the change I'm talking about. It's a change of suddenly having apathy and eating food that isn't good for you, or being really drawn to maybe old habits suddenly, where all you do is eat chips and chocolate, where you suddenly are flipped back to this habit out of nowhere, that you're being negatively impacted by a flow through of dark energy. Another key indicator is feeling drained of your energy. This is sudden. It is out of nowhere. There's no reason for it. Perhaps you're not sick. Perhaps you're feeling good, and all of a sudden there's like this moving in. It's like a draining of your energy. You feel lethargic, unmotivated, apathetic. Perhaps you experience a lot extreme procrastination, but you can't really place why that is. Another one that a lot of people experience is the feeling of being watched. And I don't mean necessarily being watched outside of you or outside the house by other people. I mean, it's an internal feeling of having eyes on you. So sometimes intuitively, I will see it as somebody's psychic scrying, attempting to move in, infiltrating into the brain. That's another common thing that people experience or talk about, feeling like somebody's weaving something into their brain. And it's not a positive feeling. It's not an enlightened feeling. It's a heavy, dark, intrusive feeling. Another experience, dark, intrusive thoughts or images, particularly intuitives. You can get very strong images or intel, I'm hearing, of dark entities, dark experiences, dark things. These are potentially things that you've never thought about. It's not something you're consciously thinking about. It's not something you've ever been focused on. It just shows up, and it feels very different than the intuitive hits and imagery that you will receive from spirit. We're going to talk about that in this series, how to differentiate between what's the light, what's the dark, what's spirit, what's a dark energy. Is it a dark energy, or is it something within you that you need to correct or look at, or a rotten root that you have? Because you have to be able to differentiate these things. Next thing we want to talk about, some of you will experience random racing thoughts out of nowhere, and they will be nonstop, and there will be an acknowledgement like, I don't even know where this is coming from and what's happening. It's like you're moving on overload constantly out of nowhere, racing thoughts, pacing, standing in a different way. Your physical body feels like it's standing in a different way. Also, a very key indicator that you are being influenced, negatively influenced, and impacted by a dark sphere of consciousness or energy. Another thing I want to talk about is sexual energy. We're going to talk about this in this dark series. It's not a taboo subject. It's actually a very spiritual energy. However, it is misused by many dark spheres of consciousness. Key indicators you're being manipulated, coerced, or negatively impacted by sexual energy or sex magic is having sudden impressions of other people's sexual fantasies. Some of these can be very, very dark. Some of these can be very degrading. Some of these have nothing to do with you. They show up out of nowhere. In addition, you will feel it through your chakra energy system. Perhaps you feel like somebody is in your sacral or your root chakra. The more aware you become, the more expanded you become, and the more sensitive you become, the more you are easily able to identify when somebody is attempting to root in or tap into your different chakra energy centers. Now, another thing is when we talk about mind control, having thoughts imprinted or impressed upon your consciousness that are very negative, very degrading, very belittling. How to differentiate when this is an exterior projecting in versus spirit versus your own negative thought forms, because there is a difference between your negative thought forms and the projections of others. That can be tied into mind control. We're going to talk about that in depth. It could be tied to remote viewing, psychic scrying, energetic layering. All of these things play a part. Now, I wish to tell you all of the things I'm going to talk about in this dark energy series are things that I personally have experienced. I didn't just experience them. I then went looking for the information as to what it was, why it was happening, and what that meant. For me on my journey, I was not able to source the tools that I needed. I was not able to find people who understood what I was talking about or any of these different energies. This created a lot of pitfalls for me because then I was kind of left to my own devices to figure it out. So I trust that the reason or part of the reason that I experienced this profundity of negativity and dark spheres of consciousness for a reason. It was not pretty. It was not easy. It was difficult to identify these. It was difficult to experience these things. However, it is not the light versus the dark. I wish to be the light in the dark to illuminate these experiences and what I've learned and the information that has come into to empower us to be able to A, identify it, B, remove it or transmute it, because knowledge and information is power, because it gives us the opportunity to take back our power and not allow anything else to come into our realms or energy. So here's the different topics that we are going to talk about in this dark energy series, because even though I've given you a lot of information, friends, about key indicators to identify this, that's just the tip of the iceberg, if I'm totally honest. So here's the topics we're going to cover, and I'm going to put them in nutshells, and we're going to go through each one. You're going to find these at least once a week. You will see a video on the dark energy series interspersed with messages from spirit, channeling from gods, goddesses, and guides, all of those different things, and of course from your own higher selves. So here's the topics we are going to cover in this dark energy series. Casting spells, rituals, bindings, unbindings, all of those different facets and forms. And we are going in depth how to effectively cast spells that do not negate from other people's free will and cast out or protect ourselves from the spell casting of others, because spells are simply words with intention and focus and a number of other things that we will talk about. We are also going to talk about energetic layering, how to know if you have been energetically layered with, imprinted on, bound by another energy, a dark sphere of consciousness, or another person who is holding a dark energy within them or wounds. In addition, we're going to talk about the light empath versus the dark empath. We're also going to talk about sex magic. We're going to talk about sexual energy, sexual transmutation, different avenues for manifesting, how to ensure that your energy is not being taken from through also sexual manipulation and energetic transference. We're also going to talk about mind control. This is a hard one for people to kind of understand. However, it is so true. It shocks me. It was a shocking experience. I am not the only person who's experienced all these things. There are many of us in the collective consciousness experiencing this, whether it's on social conditioning aspects, how that works, but also a targeted mind control project. More importantly, how to stop it. We're also going to talk about remote viewing, psychic scrying. We're going to talk about a little bit about psyops in there as well. Now, if these things pique your interest, if you would like to know more about these things, if you feel like you have experienced some of them based on those innate knowings, please like, share, subscribe, pop a comment, let me know what it is that you have experienced. We can touch base on that. I want to make sure I give you the information that you need based on what you're dealing with. In addition to all this information, I have cultivated and researched and experienced to share with all of you. Again, I trust that I've experienced these things on my journey in order to illuminate the things that stop us, block us, can negatively infiltrate our energies, our thought forms, our physical bodies, and our emotions. I have separated each topic into different individual episodes to make it easier to understand the concepts, to make it easier to illuminate the light in the dark, to ensure that you get to manifest the life of your freaking dreams, to ensure you get to experience the light on as consistent basis as possible, to ensure you step into your full empowerment. That's another reason why I'm doing this. And to ensure those of you who are experiencing these things, that it no longer has the power or the capability to impact you because you have the knowledge and the information that you need in order to remove it. As we're on this expansion journey, my friends, and as we open spiritually, there are many, many steps and there are many pitfalls on a spiritual journey. And it's a learning journey. It truly, truly is. So like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well so that you get notified when these episodes come out. Until next time, beautiful souls.